guys are trying to fertilize my mind with the seed of, what would you call it?
Next level content. We're trying to help you get up to the next level.
Now here's the thing about me that's a secret that most people don't know. I'm borderline retarded.
No cap. I think the reason why I feel so lonely and sad and why I don't belong, I think the reasoning for that is because I'm just too special. My soul is too pure, and I'm too smart. I can't connect with people because they're just not on my level. You can't get on my level. I know everything. I know it all. I'm connected to everything. I'm connected.
If you're watching this videotape, don't think just because you hear what I'm saying and you can repeat a bit of it that you know it. You want to watch it over and over and over again. You get one of the most magnificent tools in your hand you'll ever get your hands on.
Perception is really interesting. It's really strange.
Some of you are here may remember my telling you and promising you that Israel would pay the price for the deal that we were making with the devil in the name of protecting Israel. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the peace table, quote unquote, with unclean hands because there is the feeling abroad in this administration, among some in Congress, that somehow we owe an obligation.
Benjamin Netanyahu advocated that the U.S. preemptively attack Iran. Coincidentally, now we do have all the same enemies. Look, let me just say this, and I'll finish on this. All of there's nothing unique about Jews or Israel in terms of the evil stuff that their government's done. I think that the way they founded the country involved violating a lot of people's property rights. I think they've killed a whole bunch of innocent people. Nothing I wouldn't say about my own government as well, you know, and it's true for lots of governments around the world. Throughout human history, there has been atrocities, genocides, ethnic cleansing campaigns, slavery, all types of horrible things. And at every single point, there were people who would rationalize it, because that's what human beings do. We play tricks on ourselves. We're very capable of coming up with good rationalized arguments. What Israel is doing to Gaza right now is simply evil. It is inexcusable. It's been going on for 8 months. Forget the health ministry's numbers. When this thing is all over, it's going to result in hundreds of thousands of deaths and displacements. It's going to ruin lives for generations, and it should stop. All you really need to do is look at some of the images of what's going on in Gaza right now. The only question that should matter is, do you absolutely have to do this?
Why are you forcing your lifestyle over on me?
Who's forcing you to be gay?
Somebody show me where in the Constitution this fucking government has the right to demand an independent private citizen do business with an independent third-party corporation like car insurance. It's bullshit. The Supreme Court has upheld our right to travel. We pay for the roads through gas tax, and the roads would be in great condition if they didn't steal all the fucking money. You know, just like our wage earner taxes that aren't supposed to be taxed. It's the rich people who make money without working that should be paying for shit. Let them fucking pay for the insurance and let them pay for uninsured motorists. Turn around. Let's say you got 2 cars, you're working on one. You should have one fucking tag. I've been collecting all the information that shows the Supreme Court shows your right of travel to be a right they can't license, tax, or charge a fee to. I'm going to release all that information before the election. Let's stop getting fucked by the government and car insurance.
I think maybe initially that made sense, Linda, but I don't think it makes sense now.
They want to drive a wooden stake into my heart for pulling my cock out at the Toronto Blue Jays game. All I'm saying is I paid for the tickets.
What are you working on now?
Keeping my shit together.
I'm doing a lot of drugs. A lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we send him out with confidence into the world again. As decent a lad as you would meet on a May morning.
Scene 17, take 2.
Would you rather date an illegal immigrant or a liberal?
Oh my gosh. That is like the worst question ever. I don't know. Like, probably. Oh my gosh. I would say no. I would say an illegal immigrant.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and invoke the California Constitution to withdraw Assembly Bill 2641, which will end sanctuary state protections for convicted illegal immigrant pedophiles.
Stop.
Safety Committee. I'm making my motion.
You went beyond making a motion. You started to go into debate. You can make the motion, but you cannot talk about the motion will be non-debatable.
Yes. Mr.
So you made your motion. You made a motion, correct?
My motion is to withdraw AB 2641 from Public Safety Committee and have the bill taken up immediately without reference to the file.
So members, Mr. Saleh is requesting to bypass the joint rules and the committee deadlines. This is a suspension of the joint rules and takes 54 votes. The clerk will open the rolls. Assemblymember Saleh asking for an aye vote, and Majority Leader asking for a no vote. All those vote who desire to vote. It's a procedural motion. Mr. Saleh asking for an aye vote. Majority Leader asking for a no vote. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 14, noes 36. The rules are not suspended. Motion fails.
We let this stuff go too far, pretty soon we'll be fucking dogs.
I'm not finished. Oh my God, can you let me do what I need to do?
Is it easy? No. Do I like it? No, I don't.
You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like out there. You may think you do, but you don't.
Think it for the road.
Look around. I see a lot of new faces. Which means a lot of you have been breaking the first 2 rules of Fight Club.
But do I do it? Yeah, I do.
The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club. Never. Second rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
Who the fuck said it? Who the fuck actually said that? For real? No, I'm serious. Who said it?
I do not know that answer right now.
You're not really into politics. Okay, it's fair enough. But what are you into? Transformers? Pokemon, you fucking child?
In order to discuss that history, we have to go back in time, like way, way back in time. First,
then the media will perpetuate you as an anti-Semite who should lose everything, and that is wrong.
And I could be taken off the air and I could be put in prison for doing this.
I'm pretty fucking far from okay. I'm not saying anything new. We all know why we do this, not because Hunger Games books makes us happy, but because we want to be sedated. Because it's painful not to pretend. Because we're cowards. Fuck society.
You've dreamed about being an actor, but you've no idea how to get started.
We're good. You're rolling.
And action.
Hold my hand until you turn to ashes. Let me till they put me in my casket. I got all these feelings that I'm asking. If I lay it on you, that's what I'm asking.
I think, first of all, it's important to talk about and understand this left-right paradigm. What is this all about? We have the left versus the right sort of embodied today in the Republican Party supposedly on the right and the Democrat Party supposedly on the left. Now here's a choice, isn't there? Well, why is it if this is such a choice that we go from Republicans to Democrats and then 4 years or 8 years later we go back to Republicans again and we keep doing this? We've been doing this since World War I. How come the country keeps moving in the same direction all the time? Deeper and deeper and deeper into collectivism, regardless of which party is in favor, because they both believe in collectivism. They both believe in big government. We've got a left wing and a right wing, but they're just opposite wings of the same ugly bird, and that bird is called collectivism.
I keep thinking that about the Israel-Palestine thing. I'm probably the only person in the world who doesn't have very strong feelings on it. I like Israel, I'm not against the Palestinians. I'm just kind of agnostic. I'm just too American for this whole conversation. But when that becomes the biggest news story in the United States, a conflict across the globe, and when these protests are blown so out of proportion by all news media, you have to think, like, maybe this is not a reflection of reality. Like, maybe I'm being played here a little bit, right? Or maybe I'm being played a lot.
And if these other people who want to hold us all back and want to make us talk about things that are so banal and boring, like gender woo-woo and I'm feeling non-binary.
Hi, is this an okay time?
No, don't have time for you. Get out the way. Life's too serious.
How do you feel about homosexuality?
The company has made it my responsibility today to put an end to 100,000 years of being weirded out by gays.
Oh, that's like me if I get crack.
I find it disgusting.
And it's not good crack.
In your circle, I'm sure you got all kinds of gays and trans whatevers.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so sweet.
But not where I come from.
I'm going to push you until you break.
These people.
Put the phone down! I can't do it! Put the phone down! I can't! Please, don't do this! I can't drop the phone!
He broke.
Where government tells you what books you can read and what books you can't. Countries that own all the media and just pump out propaganda and put dissidents and reporters in jail. Countries where it really doesn't matter who you vote for because the fix really is in. And people in power do whatever they want. And where corruption is rampant because there's no accountability. When that happens, people get hurt.
Is that the issue?
You tell me, what is the issue?
Just make sure it's clear fucking English, okay?
He's a fag.
And?
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Do you think there are nefarious actors within the United States government working on experiments to replace your memories with possible fictional ones?
What? Like, what are you talking about?
Just kidding. You just got psyoped.
All right, who else?
I believe very strongly today. I don't know what, but something is going to happen in my lifetime, and we should prepare for that. Get ready.
So I don't have any time, dude, for all your petty bullshit. There's just too many petty people out there. They're petty. They're petty, and they're usually petty because they're all fucked up.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
You have to let it all go, Mia. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind. Welcome to the real world.
Look in my eyes, tell me your tale. Do you see the road? I'm out to my soul. And tell me the size whenever the smoke clear out of my face. And my picture perfect, or do I look fried? All of that green and yellow that drip from your eyes is tell you demise. I'm with to my side to push back the ceiling and push back the feelings I had to the side. I replay them nights and right by my side. All I see is the sea of people that ride me. If they just knew what Scotty would do to jump out the stage and say I'm a child.
Are you the secretary? Don't look at her, look at me.
Yes.
Are you the secretary? Is it common practice at your department to meet with dark money groups off the books and conceal it from the public?
Senator, thank you for the question. And of course, I can't answer to, if you're referring to our former deputy secretary, he's no longer at the department.
Who worked for you?
he worked for the president. He was appointed by the president.
He's your deputy secretary. Are you the secretary of the Department of Interior? I thought that's why you were here. Are you the secretary? Don't look at her, look at me.
Yes.
Are you the secretary?
I am.
Do these people who are sitting here today answering most of your questions, do they work for you?
They work.
Do they report for you? You're not in charge?
They work with me.
They work with you, so you're not in charge of the department. Oh my gosh, I thought you were in charge. I thought that's why you were here.
We work as a team.
Oh, okay, so who's in charge then?
I provide the vision, I provide the overall direction, and
But you're not in charge.
our mission.
Do you take responsibility for what happens at the Department of the Interior?
Take responsibility.
Do you take full responsibility for what happens at the Department of the Interior? Good. Then why are your leadership meeting with dark money groups and concealing it from the public? Why are they doing it off the books? How many times has this happened?
Senator, this is the first I'm hearing of this. My deputy secretary is no longer there, and I can't answer to what he did when he was there.
What did they get out of it, do you suppose? What do you suppose Hans-Jörg Weiss got out of you canceling the leases after they asked you
I don't know who
in an off-the-books reading?
I don't know who this individual
Oh, sure. I mean, you don't know, you're not in charge, you're not responsible. We have a corruption problem in this government, Madam Secretary, and frankly, we have a corruption problem in your department.
Kamala Harris, you know, she was like known for, as Tulsi, in that famous moment where Tulsi called her out.
Yeah.
She had innocent people on death row and wouldn't release the evidence, was forced to. So you're talking about like truly vicious sociopathic women who do have this tendency to, like, whenever they're in front of the camera, just be cackling, laughing.
Yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus?
Wheels on the bus go round and round.
And I think I'm sure you're right that people told them that, but I also think there's something of like covering up for that or overcompensating with this like bubbly personality.
Exactly. Pretty straightforward.
Israel and the United States share common values, that we defend common interests, that we face common enemies. Iran's leaders know that too. You know, for them, you're the great Satan, we're the little Satan. For them, we are you and you're us. And you know something, Mr. President? At least on this last point, I think they're right. We are you, and you are us. We're together. So if there's one thing that stands out clearly in the Middle East today, it's that Israel and America stand together.
These motherfuckers, fuck them.
But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunitions to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
Fuck them.
And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
What?
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them.
You could have been that one person to save humanity, but you didn't take that chance, and you only worried about yourself and your life and your well-being, and then you're still gonna die alone, all alone with all this misery and fear. It's terrible. And you know, right now we still have this opportunity, we still have this chance. And regardless where you are, right now we can see that the climate crisis is the only enemy that we have today, and we have to use everything we can. Social media, while we still have the internet, because we don't know how long we will have it. Talk to our friends, neighbor, any kind of opportunity we have to share this information, any resources we have to share this information.
You stupid fucking cunt.
On Monday, May 19th, 1986, this question was put to Mr. Jim Maddox, who is the Attorney General of the state of Texas. Quote, "Is it true that the state of Texas owns our children?" Mr. Maddox responded, quote, "Yes, it's true, and not only your children, but you too." How's that for candor? This is the current Attorney General. That's one of my students. He went through one of my classes and he said, "I cannot believe that the state owns my children." So I said, well, gee, why don't you go ask your Attorney General? He's the chief trustee for all of the children in the state of Texas, and he did, and he sent me back that affidavit. Now here's a letter from a lady who on August 6, 1985 had twin girls born down in California. Listen to this. As I understand it, this is a letter, by the way, from the Department of Public Health. This lady didn't get birth certificates for her children, and a question arises. Well, if you don't get birth certificates for your children, how is that going to impact those children in the next 10, 20, 30 years? What do you think would happen to somebody who was born and didn't have a birth certificate? Could you imagine such a preposterous circumstance? As I understand it, you gave birth to twin girls on July 31, 1985, at Mercy Medical Center in Redding, California. I also understand from the hospital staff that you did not desire to register the birth of your girls with them at this time. I'm writing to inform you of information that you may be unaware of. According to state regulations, if you don't register your daughter's birth within the first year of their delivery, they would then have to be registered on a delayed registration of birth form, and the cost would be at this time $15. So the first problem that you run into is that if you don't get a birth certificate, it'll cost you $15 later on. Well, I would presume that if you went to all of the trouble of delivering the child and then secreting the child out of the hospital and withstanding the incredible intimidation that the doctor and the hospital staff is going to heap upon you for trying to get this child out of here without a birth certificate, that $15 probably wouldn't be that big a deal, would it? Considering the fact that you delivered in a hospital and you had a physician in attendance, this would probably be of no consequence or trouble for you now. But in later years, this may be a problem for your daughters. So when they get to be 20 years old, there could be a problem because they don't have a birth certificate. Can you imagine what kind of problems could arise? I'm sure you're aware of the utmost importance of having a birth certificate as soon as possible. How many of you can think of 5 utmost reasons why you should have a birth certificate as soon as possible? Let the records show, one man raised his hand. He evidently can think of 5. In 20 years, the hospital records could have been destroyed and your physician may not be available to help you or your girls. Now consider the fact that in order to be registered for school, you want to send your children to the public school, got to have a birth certificate. Apply for a marriage license. You want a limited general partnership with a state in control? To do that, you have to have a birth certificate. Grants or scholarships in school, the state of California requires a certified copy of a birth certificate. So if you want to go to the University of California, you want to go to college, you want to get grants or scholarships, you have to have a birth certificate. The federal government requires a certified copy of a birth certificate when applying for military service, a passport, or a social security card. So if you want to register for the draft, if you want to travel on a U.S. passport, many people think that's the only way you can travel, but there's 5 ways to travel, 4 of them without a passport. I travel. I don't have a U.S. passport. Now, if you want to go into the Army, how many of you want to go make the world safe for Standard Oil, Exxon, and Texaco? You got to have a birth certificate. When you realize all of the times that they may need their certificates of birth, you may want to contact me and we can arrange to have them taken care of. Please contact me if you have any questions.
Everybody but me has an APAC person.
What does that mean, an APAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your APAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for APAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in APAC. And
every member has something like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them. So I've had
that's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, "I'll talk to my APAC person." And it's literally what we call them, my APAC guy. I'll talk to my APAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
All right, here's some interesting facts that you may or may not know next time you're out there following Donald Trump or Joe Biden. You want to get your right guy into the government, they're going to help everything out. Know this. The federal and state governments are not real. They're privately owned corporations called governments, and the judges are privately employed administrators called judges,
and the law is nothing more than their corporate regulations called statutes. The courthouses are no longer public buildings, but are privately owned structures called judicial centers or Department of Justice, and the prisons are privately owned facilities that do not mention the city or county anywhere in its name. The public defenders, prosecutors, and police are not there to protect and serve the public, but to the contrary, they are there to protect and serve the private corporations and arrest code breakers. Judges, prosecutors, and the clerk make money off the convictions, and the private owners of the prison make money off of your incarceration. It's all big business. Everything you sign with a wedding signature becomes a negotiable instrument in their world and is converted into a guaranteed asset, like a security or a bond. Because you are a flesh and blood living person, this is why they do that. Because we're the only ones that can sign something in their world. That's why you get into the UCC1 financing statement information. You take back control of this, and so they no longer have control over it. And your presence in a prison also funds mutual fund investments. They actually sell your dishonor or your what's called a default judgment, because all crimes are commercial and they have a monetary value attached to them. It's your birth certificate that is actually on trial if you ever go to the courts, and it's being prosecuted, but you don't know that. So your court-appointed lawyer or privately hired lawyer will never tell you that. You know, it's interesting. The bar attorneys, it's actually it's like a private union, and you don't need a license to practice law, and there never has been that. Give you an example. Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest lawyers in the country back in the day, and he never went to law school or had a license. So it's all bullshit. It's all their. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's a private guild. We're all forced to submit to a forced education, wherein the subject content has been fictionalized and is supervised by the Department of Education. We are periodically tested and graded to ensure that we have been sufficiently indoctrinated, and these facts are being, you have to show that you can pass these indoctrination tests to see if you've been properly indoctrinated to graduate. Pharmaceutical companies is another one of the largest scams in America. The Congress and Department of Defense poisons us, and the pharmaceutical companies provide drugs to treat the symptoms. Chemtrails, all of it, the food. They own all the medical schools. They make sure the new doctors never learn anything of how to treat a disease, or they only treat the symptom. I mean, you watch television today, that's all you see is pharmaceutical drugs. Everything, man. There's even drugs to treat symptoms from taking another drug. It's like, I was watching this, it's called tardive dyskinesia or some shit. Like if you take too many antipsychotic happy pills, you might get the tremors or something because it's all fucking your brain up, and then they have another drug they sell you, oh, this will control that. And now they're all happy. It's insane out there. It's a complete insane asylum. Nobody wants to learn this information, so I got kicked off of YouTube, I don't know. And so now I post this stuff on here on BitChute, and I got a channel over there on Rumble. Here's a good tip. They own all the medical schools and make sure that the new doctors don't learn how to treat any disease-only symptoms. When it was discovered that the juice of the marijuana plant, or hemp oil, stimulated the human immune system, which in turn naturally eliminated every disease affecting the human body, the Congress made marijuana a Schedule I drug, and the propagation, use for sale of it is a felony crime. That's really what America is. It's a slave plantation.
Now, why did we choose the theme or the motto, rebuilding trust? If we compare the world today with the world before we had the COVID pandemics, we find a completely different mood. First, the world has become very fearful, very fragmented, of course, and in such a situation, trust have vanished. We have lost trust to a certain extent in each another, because we all have become under the pressure of the crisis, of the multiple crises, we have become more egoistic. So, and if you are more egoistic, you think first of yourself, and this distorts an atmosphere of trust. So if we want to recreate, and that's the objective of the annual meetings this year, we want to recreate a new spirit, a much more constructive spirit. Again, looking forward and having confidence in our future. And that's the reason why we have chosen this theme, rebuilding trust.
Make yourself comfortable. There's a couch over there.
Hey, is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. I had Cephas answer some questions from a Harvard test known as unrest. It is designed to measure someone's level of social resistance.
Social resistance.
When people like us oppose the values and policies of the dominant culture.
That's right.
And what does that have to do
Your son, he feels threatened on a daily basis. Like everything he's earned can just be taken away. He's disenfranchised. But because his life is seemingly free from all this, because he can't name it, he's internalizing it.
Name what?
Racism.
What?
I think your son's tumor was caused by racism.
That is a weird thing to actually...
Ooh. Sleep, motherfucker!
No.
Okay, so just verbal abuse?
I mean, again, some of this stuff gets...
You have to hear this to believe this. The International Criminal Court in The Hague is contemplating issuing arrest warrants against senior Israeli government and military officials as war criminals. This would be an outrage of historic proportions. International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides. Yet now, the International Court is trying to put Israel in the dock.
I can't believe I let you get away.
And I want to assure you, no ICC action will impact Israel's ironclad determination to achieve the goals of our war with Hamas terrorists. We will destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities in Gaza. We will release all our hostages.
Is that what they do?
Michael Jackson is apologizing to Jewish leaders for lyrics in a song off his new album, His Story. Jackson says he never meant to offend anyone with the song They Don't Care About Us, which includes the lines, Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me, don't you black and white me. Jackson says he was taking a stand against prejudice, but now acknowledges his meaning could be misconstrued.
And we will ensure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Another development on Saturday, New York officials revealed at a news conference here in the city that a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that. No other details were given, but the discovery prompted the FBI and police to expand the search area down in Lower Manhattan.
If you took a billiard ball and dropped at the height of the Twin Towers, and you just merely stopped it and started at every floor in free fall, it would take over a minute and a half to reach the ground. The buildings were down in 10 seconds.
Buildings just don't behave like that. If floors fall, they tend to fall and are braced by the floor directly beneath it. And there's some delay there. And then the next floor falls with 2 floors, and there's some more delay.
The buildings actually accelerated as they came down, meaning they were not getting resistance from these massive columns in the center of the core of this building. And when it's all finished, the outside walls from the lower floors are piled one on top of the other right in the middle of the building.
So it's fiction to say that a building as modern as World Trade Center 7 comes down with no resistance.
Doesn't add up.
The official explanation was dead wrong.
Just not possible.
Not possible.
Just doesn't make sense. It's not how it works.
It can't happen.
Never before in history.
It just can't happen. Well, that's just nonsense.
And that cannot happen.
Couldn't happen.
It's fiction.
There's definitely much more going on than just fire.
This was a controlled event.
The symmetry is the smoking gun.
In short, the evidence is clear. We are witnessing not the collapse of a building, but its demolition.
The government has not told its people every single thing that's gone on. I don't think anyone
They rarely
would be surprised. But when it comes to 9/11, are you so sure?
No.
Okay.
No, but I ask questions, and what perturbs me is that you don't get answers. Nobody wants to talk about it. This event that changed our entire history of our country, why aren't we allowed to discuss it? Why aren't we allowed to ask questions? The moment you do, you get a reaction like he gave me. How dare you? How dare you question your government?
So what are your questions?
My questions are simple. I worked in demolition. I'm a former frogman, underwater demolition team. I know how to blow things up. How could the buildings fall at the rate of gravity? Basic physics tells you that can't happen.
Yeah.
And how did the cement get so pulverized? Just simply from falling, it was blown into dust? What energy was required to pulverize?
As animal rising activists have graffitied a king's new portrait as part of their campaign for the RSPCA to drop their Assured Farm scheme.
Animal rights campaigners have vandalised the portrait of King Charles with the face of Wallace from the Wallace and Gromit films. Protesters targeted the painting at the Philip Mould Gallery in London with Wallace's face and a speech bubble which says, "No cheese, Gromit. Look at all this cruelty on RSPCA farms."
Oh no, not cheese.
Not a sheep to worry us. Get off me, key!
My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband. Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way. Everybody's just here.
They do this every year. Why?
If you think America is the heart of modern civilization, this story will surely change your mind. There, a trade in unwanted children exists, and the way they do it is distressing. It's known as rehoming, and when parents decide they no longer want their adopted child, they simply advertise them on websites to lure prospective new parents. It's as straightforward as getting rid of an old fridge on eBay. There's no vetting or court orders required, and these disposable children can be handed over to anyone. In fact, until you see it, it's difficult to believe, and we should warn you, it's quite confronting.
First up, we have Alicia. Alicia is a very special and very sweet young lady who is looking for her forever family. She describes herself.
It's a parade like no other. Abandoned children desperately selling themselves to win over a new family, a new start.
She also likes drawing and doing arts and crafts.
And in the audience, sizing them up to find a perfect match, are their potential parents.
Okay, Michaela, you look so cute. That is my girl.
Travelling to this so-called matching event today is Tom, a teacher with no children, who is interested in 14-year-old Frank, given up by his adopted family 2 years ago and now living in a care home.
Today is important because I get a chance to kind of be a part of something, you know, part of a family that I've been waiting to be a part of for a very long time now.
If something happens, then we'll pursue it, and if not, not a big deal. Nothing gained, nothing lost.
But Frank is anxious to make something happen. He has much to lose and only 2 hours to convince Tom he's worthy of adoption.
I'm trying to show him the brightest aspects of me and to let him know what the darkest ones are.
Frank has sold himself well. Tom agrees to give his new son a trial run and will collect him in 15 days' time.
Thank you, do the same.
But 6 months later, Tom decides they're not compatible. And again, Frank can only hope and wait to find a family who wants him forever. To see those children trying to sell themselves to find a forever family, what does that do to your stomach?
Oh, it turns it. It is appalling that we get to a place as unseemly as this. Appalling.
It is distressing, tragic, and completely legal. Here in the US, it's a phenomenon known as rehoming, where, along with matching events, troubled kids are advertised like goods on eBay and given to anyone who'll take them. Mostly they're adopted and often wear the scars of abuse and neglect. Most disturbingly, their parents have decided they no longer want them. It could be here in New York City.
It could be here in New York, it could be in Boston.
For Adam Pertman from the Boston-based National Centre on Adoption and Permanency, rehoming is the heartless result of desperation.
Desperate people do stupid things and desperate things. There should be legal structures and social structures and professionals who know what the hell they're doing around all of this. If we don't protect vulnerable children, who do we protect?
It's an underground trade in children that could be happening in any suburb across America. It's estimated that there is something like 24,000 foreign adoptees who are no longer with their adopted families, and as we've seen, there are countless more waiting to be rehomed. To rehome a child here is breathtakingly easy. Parents who no longer want their kids simply sign them over to those who do, and that could be anyone. A desperate, loving parent in waiting, or a monster.
I think it's often that the child doesn't meet the expectations of the family. And so instead of working with the child, they're trying to rehome them.
Get rid of them.
Dispose of them.
Megan Exxon has 5 adopted children, 2 through rehoming.
Look at the little girl in her ballet costume with her flower in her hair. I don't know how you can give a child up.
As well, Megan is all too aware that not everyone who seeks out these children can be trusted. And what about the people who might be looking at these photos? Who might they be?
Well, it could be anyone. We know from experience it can be pedophiles and people who are liars and cheats.
Well, this is like a shopping list for a pedophile.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
17-year-old Poppy knows the awful truth through first-hand experience. Like an unwanted pet, Poppy's former adoptive parents rehomed her when she was just 7 years old. They delivered her to Nicole and Calvin Eason, a couple they met in an adoption chat room who have since been exposed as serial pedophiles. Here, Nicole is caught discussing rehoming.
A family looks for another family, internet, word of mouth, you know, friends.
And her not-so-gentle approach to parenting.
I smack them in the mouth, and I've gotten them with a spatula. I have no regrets about it, no complaints about it.
The day that you were sent to the Easons' home, what was that like?
Scary.
What was scary about it?
Being dropped off by people who I thought that were family and not being able to see them anymore.
So this was your mum and dad, who you considered to be your mum and dad?
Mm-hmm.
And did you understand why you were being sent away?
No. I was told that was just that we were going on a little road trip, and that's all they told me.
Poppy and another child from another family, 14-year-old Dimitri, would now experience the very worst of rehoming. What happened in that house?
A lot of things that shouldn't have happened.
How would you describe the Easons?
Scum, uncaring, heartless, self-serving, selfish.
Lynn Banks, an adoptive parent herself and a crusader against adoption scammers, uncovered the Easons online and was immediately alarmed. Did you spot that it was a fake as soon as you saw it?
Yes, they were trying to take kids into their home under false pretenses.
This shows how easily the Easons con people. This document is meant to reassure parents who no longer want their children that they've given them to the right people. It's a safety assessment signed off by social workers. But the Easons was pure fiction. When you became suspicious of the Easons, did you become obsessed with tracking them down and stopping them?
It was the right thing to do. And I couldn't turn around and walk away from that. You know, who else was going to do it?
Lynn discovered the Easons' own children had been removed from them due to neglect and suspected abuse. She told police, as the Easons moved across the country, of the kids they collected on the way. How similar was the story from state to state?
Very similar. They were doing damage. They weren't getting caught. They were free to move on.
Can you explain to me how Dimitri and Poppy were placed with the Easons?
Well, I mean, they met on our group.
Megan Exon ran a chat room set up to support other adoptive parents. Unaware of their background, she welcomed the Easons and introduced them to the other families. But tracking their every online move, Lynn alerted Megan immediately.
Well, I know for a fact that she has an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old from our group. We introduced them.
Just 2 weeks before this call, Poppy and Dimitri's parents had dumped them with Nicole and Calvin Eason. Lynn's phone call was confronting and devastating.
A pedophile? Is this Calvin?
After having that conversation with Lynn, what did you do next?
The first thing I did was I called the parents, and according to them, they couldn't come for their children. And I decided if nobody else was going to go for them, that I would.
Shame on them in a big way. There are some parents that will walk away and not look back. It's an ugly world at times, let me tell you.
With no guarantees that the Easons would hand over the children, Megan immediately set off on a 10-hour mercy dash to right her mistake.
The house was ramshackle on the outside. It had garbage bags, it had animal feces, it had urine in the front.
So you go up to the door and you meet a fairly imposing man, I'd imagine. He's 6'2".
Yes, I'm 5 feet tall. I just said, I'm here for the children, and he said, well, you can't have them. And I said, no, Calvin, you can't have them. You don't have a right to them.
Lynn describes that decision as very brave. Do you feel brave?
No, I feel stupid.
Why is that?
Because I helped put them in that position.
And what did you think of somebody coming and rescuing you in that way?
I thought she was a hero, that what she was doing.
You thought she was a hero? Poppy suffered what no one should, especially a 7-year-old abandoned child.
She was certainly molested. Nicole and Calvin walked around naked. They wanted the children to sleep in bed with them. They had the children watch pornography, and as though it were a family movie.
So moved by Poppy's experience, Megan adopted her, and Dimitri found a family too. Although she was now safe, for a long time, Poppy blamed herself for being dumped by the people she knew as her mum and dad, who she could only recently face again. So you met up with your adoptive parents, your first adoptive parents. What was that like?
I felt guilt that I did something to them to make them do that to me, because I didn't understand why. She told me she didn't think that she was capable of taking care of me anymore.
Have you forgiven her for not coming and rescuing you?
Not quite yet.
Incredibly, even after Poppy was saved, the Easons continued rehoming children. It took Lynn Banks nearly a decade of collecting evidence against them before the FBI acted. With the aid of her testimony, 2 months ago, the Easons were each sentenced to 40 years in jail for their crimes against children.
I just can't imagine being in a home with them, you know, and I just can't imagine being a little person under somebody's control like that, and people having their way with you, and I just can't imagine.
In all, Lynn's unwavering decade-long pursuit of the Easons resulted in 11 children being saved. Today, for the first time, she gets to meet one of them. How are you feeling about seeing Poppy and Megan?
Yeah, I think it's gonna hit home now. Yeah.
What's hitting home?
Oh, they're real. Those kids were real.
Well,
yeah.
Look, she certainly is real, and here she is.
She is.
Hi. This is Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Oh, hi, Lynn.
Oh.
This is my daughter, Poppy.
Can I hug you? I'm so glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Glad
to meet you too.
To see Poppy in person is to be reminded of why Lynn did what she did.
I've wanted to do this for a long time.
To save precious lives from the most vile people.
I'm just glad you're safe. Yeah.
Let's go get the eggs. Come on.
Having found her forever family with Megan, Marty, and her 4 adopted brothers and sisters, Poppy has been given a chance to live a life she deserves. What do you think of adults who are able to leave their children with strangers, who can just leave a child and walk away?
They're disgusting and that they don't deserve kids themselves.
Do you think rehoming should be allowed in this country?
I hate that everybody's in that position. I think it needs to be regulated so that it's safe for the kids. But the child needs to heal from the rejection and the abandonment and the trauma. They have every right to walk this earth healed. So, that's it.
We are living in the dumbest timeline right now.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
They don't want you to know the truth, but that's what I'm for.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
That ain't something I would do. Hell nah, let you slide like it's cool. Nigga, hell nah, fake the truth. Play by rules. That ain't something I would do. Hell nah, hell nah.
Stop talking to me like I've been here and I know what's happening. Like explain it to me so I know what to do and I can match your energy. Don't just start like, yo, are we doing something? I thought you had a fucking earpiece in.
Understatement to describe what is secretly happening here in Middle America. Illegal weed growing operations. Not run by Americans, but by the Chinese. Oklahoma law enforcement shutting down on average 15 of the illegal grow houses every single day. They say the illegal Chinese growers come across the southern U.S.-Mexico border and then travel to Oklahoma to work at the black market grow houses. Larry showed us they're right down the road from his land.
Right here's one of the Chinese places right here, and they just built this barn in the last 8 months, and the door's open, by the way. Let me stop and blow my horn, see if anybody comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do see a dog.
There's a dog. That tells me somebody's here.
No one came out, but the truck out front was not here yesterday.
I've heard of stories that they're heavily armed with AK-47s. I mean,
See it. Let me see it. Let me see it. What the fuck? Let me see it.
You don't believe me?
No, I don't believe you. Because you and your brother are always up there.
You're gonna give it right back. Yeah. You would.
Are you serious? You got all this money?
Yes.
From what?
From YouTube, from my job. You have a job and you save money.
You make this kind of money.
This is my savings.
Video games.
That's part of it.
Wait a minute. You pay off your college and then you have this kind of money in your savings.
Yes. And it's not that unheard of. It's YouTube. That's part of the job. You make ad revenue. And I'm buying a house.
This kind of money and in cash.
Yes. I took it out of my bank account. Yes.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand
I've been trying to make you understand for how fucking long now.
Make me understand it. Try.
I am. I'm trying. I'm showing you I'm about to go get a house. Doesn't the money speak for itself?
But you don't do it like this. I can't understand why you have this kind of money.
Because of videos. Because I make videos. And I put them online.
Oh, it's all about these videos.
Yes,
yes. Wait a minute. That I'm in? That you never had permission for me to be in? You're making this kind of money?
What are you trying to say right now? What the
you
actual,
know what I'm, now you know what I'm leading up to.
What the act trying to imply right now?
I'm implying this pretty much is mine.
No, you never once.
You never had permission.
You never said, Jess, I don't feel comfortable with that. Jess, I don't want this online.
But you still did. You still used me, didn't you?
I didn't know. I never used you. It's just filming my life.
Oh yeah, you called me psycho dad in the videos. And you made money off me.
I never do that on purpose. I don't want to do that.
You make money off me.
Of course I make money off you. That's the premise of the video.
This is my money.
I film my life. I don't need permission for my life. What the
fuck are you doing?
Yeah. What the? Where did that come from?
Wait, what the fuck?
Where the f that come from?
Is that fucking safe? You kidding me?
Yeah, you can't do that.
There, I can do anything I want.
That's my property!
No, it isn't. It's mine!
I'm sorry, I'm trying to process a tremendous amount of insane information.
It's like a one-night stand. We share a night of fiery passion, and then we fist bump each other. I tip my fedora, say thanks for the good pussy, madam, and we both go our separate ways. And that's the end of that. That concludes the evening.
Oh, you gotta get him that hot tour and spit on that thing. You get me? Oh, this is so funny.
Something else is... You know who politicians are afraid of? They're afraid of three things. I mean they're terrified. They're terrified of a free vote. They're terrified of free speech. And up until about 10 years ago, they're terrified of you, the media. Now I got a question for the media out there. All you media out there, you don't have to answer this. Why did you become a journalist? Curiosity, want to know the truth? Because I remember back in the day, up about 10 years ago, if you have a problem with, say, a business or a politician or the law or something you couldn't figure out for yourself, the last resort was, I'm going to the press because you guys were the ones that would find the truth. Politicians aren't afraid of you anymore. And it's not just Canada. They're not afraid of the press anymore. No, pretty much, that's all I got to say. But remember one thing, folks. God loves every single one of you. And he has a plan for every single one of you. You'll find it.
The value and the benefits of the new world.
Doesn't mean it can't be turned around. But it'll never be turned around until you learn what you need to know. You don't even recognize half the weapons that they use against you. And some of them seem so insignificant that you don't even try. They want to create a world where everybody is happy all the time. Doing all of the things that, if you're from a good religious upbringing, is wrong to do. If you're not from a religious upbringing, but you have a good brain and you understand the purpose of morals and ethics, it's still the wrong thing to do. If you're a thinking person.
Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting?
You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. If you can't win, it's pointless to keep fighting. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.